family, friends, DCPs, everybody, whoever's watching this. I today wanted to make a video about my interview process. And my interview process went bam, 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 bam until the waiting process. That was terrible, but we'll get to that. Anyways, I applied, I think 2 days after applications came out. And of course, everybody's like, oh my god, applications are out, let's go apply. And I did. I was like everybody else. I got the email from Disney and was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, am I gonna get in? Am I not? Do I do my interview? Whatever. It was great. So I did my first interview, or not even my interview, I did my application. I came home from work. I was so excited. I was like, I'm just gonna do it. I wanted my mother to help me for whatever reason. I was beyond nervous. Like I was gonna get kicked out. But you can actually not make it past the application. They will, some people, they turn their applications and 5 minutes later they turn around and say, thank you for applying, try again next year. Which is depressing all in itself. But if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. After that, I got my online interview and I did that, I think, the following day. And they definitely try to trick you. If I told you they didn't, I'd be lying. They're going to ask you the same questions in different ways to see if you're being honest. And if your true personality is showing and you're not trying to pretend, you will get past it. It's not hard. It's just they want to make sure you're not playing them. They want to see if it's really you. And don't have somebody try to take the interview for you. Yes, I will be honest, I had my mother behind me. She did not answer a single question, but she was watching what I was putting down, and because they throw in some words that are just funky, and it's like, you have to read it a couple times. You're timed, but you have like 30 or 40 seconds, and believe it or not, it is plenty of time. Like I said, if you're being honest, you will be absolutely fine. Then I think after that, it tells you right afterwards if you passed or not, and I passed. I was in tears, like, oh my god. I was more worried about the online interview than I was the phone interview. Then I got my phone interview. I did it the following Monday. This was all in a span of like 3 days. Like 1, 2, 3. All 3 days I got my interviews. My kitten is being very distracting, sorry. So once I did my phone interview, it wasn't bad. It really wasn't. I was beyond excited about it. I was so ready, but you will sit there and stare at your phone for that whole day until you wait. Do it in the morning. If you can do it in the morning, do it in the morning, because it'll just save yourself some stress, I guess. But I wanted to give all of you future DCPs, I guess, some tips. A lot of these tips I found, and some of them I didn't, so hopefully they're helpful to you, and yeah, hopefully you're in the DCP sooner than you think. Tip number 1, I don't care which interview you're doing, find a quiet place. Don't let your brother or your sister or your dog or your kitten or whatever you're doing, do not let them bother you. Just go somewhere quiet that you have cell reception, or your computer is fully charged, whatever it may be. Make sure you are in a quiet place where you can focus. Because I will tell you right now, if you're not, it's going to mess you up. Tip number 2, make sure you do research about Disney. And I will tell you this, and our recruiter told it to me herself. Do not sit there on your interview and talk about your love for Disney movies. They don't want to hear it. It's good to love them. It is. I'm not saying you shouldn't love your favorite Disney movies. But during your interview, do not sit there and tell them, oh, I want to work at Disney World because I love Peter Pan and Cinderella. It's not going to get you in. In fact, do research on Disney, the parks. Do it on the parks or do it on the hotels. Have something interesting to tell them. Do the stories. And if you really are that into Disney, that won't be something hard. It really helped me, but I'm very passionate about Disney. Which brings me to tip number. Be passionate if you can. You can't make passion happen, but you can always try. Tip number 4, be honest. If you're trying to pretend that you're somebody else, you are not getting into Disney. I can promise you right now, they will see right through it. That application is going out the door. Tip number 5, know the 4 ways to a guest experience. This might just be my hospitality side talking, but these are actually Disney's 4 major points. Make sure you know safety. Safety is the number 1 answer to anything. I don't care if somebody went to the bathroom, and safety. Safety is the number 1 concern at Disney. That's anything and every interview, every question, they want to make sure you understand not only does the guest come first, but their safety. Next, you want to know courtesy, show, and efficiency. Those other 3 are also very important, but safety. Safety, safety, safety. Do you like my tiara? I think it's pretty beautiful. Tip number 6. 6th tip is to ask questions during your interview. It'll help, I promise. Maybe like two questions. It shows that you have interest in the program, not that you're just trying to fly by the interview. And even if you're nervous, just ask them. Even if they're stupid, you know the answer. Ask the question. It'll help. And another thing related to questions, look up Disney College Program interview questions. I promise you 100% that they will come up. I researched it, and every single question I looked up was on there. There was not a single one I wasn't prepared for. And if it helps, find somebody in your family or a friend to ask you those questions. Maybe have them call you and ask them, pretend it's the interview. As corny as that might sound, you will be so much more prepared. The first thing they're going to ask you is, why do you want to work at Disney World? Depending on how you answer that question is going to depend on which route they take. They're either going to start asking about like roles, like what roles would you like to do? And then they give like scenario questions. I don't know the other path because that's not the path I took. Sorry. My hat says cupcake, by the way, just in case you were wondering, because I'm a cupcake. Tip number 7. And yes, I still have a tiara on my head. Make sure when you're doing your interview, you write down the name of your recruiter. And you're like, why, Lauren? Why do I write down the name of my recruiter? Well, because when you're done with your interview, you want to personally thank your interviewer. You want to say, thank you, blah, 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 for your time. And what really I think got me is I was something along the lines of, my interviewer's name was Sarah. I was like, thank you so much, Sarah, for your time. I hope to be working with you soon, and you have a magical day. And I could just hear the shock in her voice that I told her to have a magical day. Like, it kind of, I think, took her back. And I also told her I wanted to follow in her footsteps, because one of my questions I asked her, one of my 2 questions, was how did you get started in Disney? And she had gotten started in the college program. So when I was very flattered that I'd wanted to follow in her footsteps, she was like, oh, me? My footsteps? Well, thank you. That's kind of how it went. Can't even lie. So there you have it. That's all the tips that have really helped me, and things that I just thought should be spread in the words everybody should know. So watch my videos, follow, subscribe, do whatever you must. I don't care. This is for my family. Kisses. Bye, everybody.